Chapter 1. Jarred from sleep, Sela bolted upright. Sobbing and shaking, she clutched her own swollen belly to convince herself it was just a dream. A stubborn kick provided the reassurance she needed and allayed fears triggered by the nightmare. Her lips curved as she watched the protestations of her unborn child at being so rudely awakened. The life within her was definitely a product of the fiery couple who had conceived it. That thought drained her smile, and she stared at the empty side of the bed. Once more, Loki was gone. While she had hoped it might be possible to change him, deep in her heart, Sela knew it was a futile wish. Memories of their first few months together flickered through her mind like an old black-and-white movie. Secret hours together until Thomas was able to resign his priesthood, to the simultaneous regret and happiness of his parish, and begin, to outward appearances at least, his transition into Loki. Their honeymoon period, which started long before their wedding, had been idyllic. Sharing innermost confidences, something of their lives prior to their fated meeting. Although aware of Sela's torment at Pia's hands, Loki knew little of her childhood and meteoric rise from peasant to ruler, intrigued and, if he was honest, a trifle intimidated by the story of her ruthless ascendance. Sela pressed Loki on whether anything about his assumed persona was genuine or simply a ruse to tug on her heartstrings. It transpired Loki needed to vanish at the same time as he coincidentally overheard a certain Thomas Lockwood vowing to reform his life. That he dispatched the man's soul to purgatory before commandeering his physical form as a way to hide in plain sight, a happy accident which worked in both their favours. Sela blew a weighty sigh. Loki's love for her might be unequivocal, but it was not to the exclusion of all others, and by others she meant his fellow deities. Was she being selfish, wanting her husband all to herself? She didn't think so, and to be fair, for the most part he was. That didn't mean she had to like it when his role as a god interfered. Sela had long wrestled with the question of how does one transform a god, especially one whose entire existence was the bane of Valhalla. Each of the celebrated deities had a duty to perform, whether it be Odin's rule over the gods and mortals, or the goddess Jod's responsibility for Earth's care. In Loki's case, no one knew quite what his role among the gods actually entailed, and he was not one to share. Not even with the woman to whom he had pledged his love and still leaves alone more times than I care to count. His secretive nature ran counter to the rest of the gods and led to bitter conflicts. Nonetheless, time and again, when the need arose, he was there to save them, to save her.